Hi everyone, welcome back to T. Today, we're diving into essential Excel skills for data analysis, the magic of clean list design, inserting tables with shortcuts like Ctrl plus T, and the power of filtering data for quick insights. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's get into it.
Our Creating Tables worksheet tab, we have some basic employee data. So notice that we have well-defined headers. We have employee ID, last name, first name, department, email, phone extension, location, hire date, and pay rate. So that's a good first step. We want to make sure that we have well-defined headers. So remember, our headers, they are the key when we're analyzing our data, because the headers represents the name of the field in which we want to analyze, or in this case, the column that we want to analyze. So we want to make sure that they are named well, that they're meaningful, and they accurately describe the data below. The next thing that we want to make sure that we have unique labels. Now, this is not always the case, but it's best to have unique labels when you're working with data. So in this case, our unique labels, we can see that we have unique employee ID numbers, and this will give us some better opportunities to kind of just filter our data down to what we're looking for as well. The other thing that we want to make sure that we have, complete records. So as long as our list has well-defined headers, unique labels, and complete records, meaning no blanks, then we are good to go. We can see that this data set, we don't have any blank cells in here. We have complete records. On row 5, we have a complete record for Joe Gonzalez. All of the information is filled out. If we do have blank cells in our data set, we'll run into some problems. One of the problems that we'll run into is that our data analysis will be incorrect or incomplete because we're actually missing data. So it's usually a good idea just to kind of scroll through your data set, make sure that you don't have any blanks in there as well. You can always use the count blank function, and this will kind of help you to count the amount of blanks that you have in your data. So I'll just enter the count blank function here, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of my data. So Excel is going to count all the blank cells that it finds in the range A3 down to I40. If I press enter, I have 0 blank cells and I'm good to go. Now if I were to delete a cell, it tells me right away that I have 1 blank cell. So those are some good first steps. Some other tricky things to kind of look for, especially when you're working with dates and numerical values. You want to make sure that they are formatted properly. So we can see, if we take a look at our hire dates here, we can see that they are properly formatted as a date. This is not always the case. Sometimes you have data that's extracted from one program to the next. You may notice sometimes, even though these look like dates, they say something else. Up here, it may say something like custom or general. So you want to make sure that you make those adjustments here. We're all good here. For the pay rates as well, we can see that that's using the currency format. And so we are pretty much ready to go ahead and analyze this data in a table. Let's convert this list into a table, and then we'll have some tools that we can use to analyze the data. Now, there's 2 ways that we can convert this list into a table. Here's the first way. We can actually use a shortcut. So if we press Ctrl plus T, that will convert this to a table for us, as long as we're selected inside of the list. The other way is from our ribbon. So from the Home ribbon, if we head on over to the Styles command group, we have the Format as Table command. So those are 2 ways that we can convert this. So I'll go ahead and click anywhere inside of my list here, and I'll use the first method, which is Ctrl T. So if I press Ctrl T, it just basically asks me, you want to create a table, where's the data for your table, and does your table have headers? My table does have headers, so I'm good to go. And if I scroll down, I can see that it's highlighting all of my data. I'll go ahead and press OK, and it converts it to a table for me. So So here's the table form. We know that this is a table because if we take a look at the ribbon, we now have the table design tab. And this is where we'll find all the tools that we need to be able to analyze the data. We can filter our data. We can turn on the total row. We can insert a slicer. We can also go ahead and take a look at the different table styles that are available as well. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. So I'll press Ctrl Z and let's try method number 2. I'll go ahead and click on Format as Table from the ribbon here. And the only difference is we can choose our table style ahead of time. So there you go. So here is my list that's now converted to a table. Well, now that we've converted this to a table, we can do things like sort by columns. We can also do some filtering as well. We also have another tool. It's called the total row. So we'll take a look at these 3 tools here as well. Notice for all of my headers now, I have a filter. So if I click on the last name filter here, several things I can do. At the top of the filter, I can go ahead and sort. And then down here, I can use a logical filter. I can filter by a search term, or I can go ahead and select a unique value from down here. So there's actually 1, 2, so 4 different opportunities for us to use this filter dropdown to analyze our data. Well, I want to go ahead and sort. So I'll click on I'll sort by last name here, and I will sort A to Z. And notice how all of my records now are being sorted by last name. The entire record moves. We're not just sorting the column explicitly, the entire record is moving as well. So if I were to go ahead and maybe sort by employee ID number, we can see that the entire record travels here as well. So we can do some simple sorting in here as well. But what if I wanted to do some more complex sorting? We would need to click on the data tab and click on the sort icon here in order to do some complex sorting. Because at this point, we can only sort on 1 column at a time. You saw that when I sorted by employee ID, it removed the sort from my last name here. Well, what I would like to do is maybe go ahead and sort by, let's see, I'll go ahead and sort by last name and department. So how can we sort by last and department? Well, we need to click on the sort icon here, and this will allow me to select the different columns in which I want to sort by. I'll go ahead and click on sort. Now here we can see that my data has headers is already checked off. Now I can select the column that I want to sort by. So I want to sort by last name. Well, maybe I'll do department first. Department is a higher level. So let's sort by department and then by last name. Well, for me to do that, I need to click on add level. So I can add another level here so that I can go ahead and sort by last name. So I'll click on add level and I'll choose last name. I'll make sure that they both say A to Z and I'm good to go. Once I press OK, we can see it's sorted by department. So here's AC, and inside of that department is also sorted by last name. Here's the AD department, and that's also sorted by last name. So that's some basic sorting that we can perform on our table. Let's take a look at the different filters that we can use. I'll go ahead and click on a filter for the hire date. Let's see what filters are available for the hire date. We'll also take a look and see what filters are available for the pay rate. So we're working with dates and numbers. Now for the date filters, we have a lot of date filters. I can look for a hire date based on an exact date, before a certain time, after a certain time, and between a certain time. Then I can be more specific, right? Last year, last month, last quarter. So those are different things that I can do. So if I click on between, what if I want to know how many hires we had between 2 dates? So if I click on between here, here's my little logical operator. I want to find out how many hires did we have, let's say after 2000. So I'll say January 1st, 2000, but before December 31st, 2006. I could also click on the date picker here and choose my date from here as well. Let's see how many hires did we have between 2000 and 2006. If I press OK, here are my 5 records. If you take a look at your status bar, it tells you that 5 of 37 records were found. We can see that these all fit that description. They all fall between those 2 particular dates. So that's one way that we can filter using that logical operator. I'm going to go ahead and clear the filter from the hire date. So we can see the filter is active here. I'll go ahead and click on it, and I'll click on the clear filter from hire date. This will reset my table, display my 37 records. Well, let's go back to the hire date, and this time let's go ahead and enter a value in the search box. What if I just want to find out how many hires did I have in 2010? So if I type 2010 here, notice how it collapses this for me for 2010. So it looks like I had a couple of hires in here. If I press OK, here are my 3 hires for 2010. So we can see the filter is a really nice tool, excellent tool for doing simple data analysis. I'll go ahead and clear this filter as well. And then we'll run one more. So this is the other level. So we use the date filter, we use the search box. Now I can just choose an individual month, day, or year down here as well. So what I'll do is I'll unselect all, and I just want to find out how many hires we had in 2006 and 2007. If I press OK, here are my 4 records. So either or, in 2006 or 2007. I'll go ahead and clear the filter from there. Let's take a look at the pay rate. So the pay rate offers us the same opportunities, not as many filters as the date filter. We have some basic ones in here. So if I wanted to take a look at the pay rates that are greater than or equal to a certain amount, let's say we can see we go from 20 to 3676. Let's show all of the numbers that are greater than or equal to 30. Here's my simple dialog. I'll type 30 in here. I'll go ahead and press OK. And there we go. So here are my 13 records. So 13 employees are earning 30 or greater per hour. So those are some basic filters. The good thing about filters as well, we can run multiple filters on our data set. So in this case, the pay rate is $30 or greater per hour. And what if I want to filter by department as well? I'll go ahead and click on the department filter here. I only want to see from, let's say, my HR department. I'll go ahead and press OK. And this is a very nice tool. So we're able to narrow it down to the HR department where the pay rate is $30 or more per hour. Here are 2 records. It's a really nice way to isolate the data so that you can work on it. And once you're done, we can just go ahead and move on to the next department. So I'll move on to MF here, and there we go. So a really nice way to filter. We can run multiple filters together as long as we understand logically what we're trying to accomplish. Sometimes we need to kind of just stop and pause and think about what we're trying to accomplish here as well. I'll go ahead and clear my filters. I do have 2 filters running. So what I can do from the data tab, I can click on the clear filter icon here, and this will clear all the filters that are running on my table. So it's going to clear my department filter and my pay rate filter. I'll go ahead and click here. My table is reset to display my 37 records. Now there's another tool that we can use, which is called the total row. So if we click on the table design here and the table style options, the filter is already turned on. Let's go ahead and turn on the total row. The total row is going to place a row at the end of our table, and each cell will provide a drop down, and on that drop down will be a list of basic functions that we can use to summarize the different columns on our table. I'll go ahead and turn on the total row here. We can see the total row has been added on row 41, and it's already has a number here in the cell on the bottom right. So it says 1010.30. Well, let's go ahead and click on that cell. If I click on that drop down, it's giving me the sum of the pay rates. Well, that doesn't make sense. If I want to find out what is the average pay rate here, I'll click on average, and it automatically calculates that column. So the average pay rate is $27.31. Now, one of the nice things is, so we don't really have a lot of columns that we can run formulas and functions in here. But if I were to add in, maybe some hours in here and the gross pay, then we'll see more options that are available to us. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and do that. I'm just going to insert a column here. So I'll go ahead and put in the hours, and then I'll go ahead and put in the gross pay. So I'll just go ahead and put in some random numbers here. I'll start with 20. I'll start with 15, 16. I'll continue this pattern down until I get to, say, 40. Right. And let's see. Then I'll just come back here and continue this pattern down as well. Why not? Then I'll simply just add a calculation here. Now this is a major benefit of analyzing data in a table. Look what's going to happen once I write a formula here on this top cell. As soon as I write the formula, it's automatically going to fill down the rest of the formulas for me. So that's the benefit of working with the table. So for the gross pay, I'll say equal pay rate times the hours worked. Once I press enter, we can see it's automatically calculated all of our gross pays, which is a nice feature of a table. Now we have 3 other columns that we can run numbers on. So what are the total hours worked? I'll use the sum function for that. 1,155 hours. What is the total gross pay? Here's the sum of the gross pay. 31,843.51. So this allows us to quickly answer questions on our data set. Average pay rate is $27.31. Total hours 1155, resulting in gross pay of $31,843.51. The other thing to mention about this is if I filter my data, these numbers will update as well based on what I'm filtering by. I'm going to go ahead and filter by department. I just want the AC department. If I press OK, notice how the numbers have changed. The pay rate has changed, the hours have changed, and the gross pay has changed based on the AC department.
That's it for part 1 of our Excel for Data Analytics tutorial. We hope you learned some useful tips and steps to boost your skills. Part 2 is coming soon, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.